Motivational Monday. This week I want to talk about how to determine who you want to be in, who you need to be in a relationship with. I preface this by saying I am no expert when it comes to relationships. However, I do want to share some things that I've learned to be able to decipher who I do or do not need to be in a relationship with. The first thing that I've realized is you have to get to know yourself. Step one, you have to get to know yourself and love yourself before you can explore the option of getting to know or loving someone else. You have to know what you like, what you don't like, what you will or will not tolerate, what activities you don't enjoy, what activities you do enjoy. For example, I absolutely hate scary movies. I won't do it. I refuse. That's it, that's all. There is no negotiation, there is no compromise. I won't do it. So, when I'm dating or looking into dating someone and the subject of a scary movie comes up, I make it very clear up front. Listen, this is not something I'm willing to compromise on. That's it, that's all. Um, and I kind of have a take it or leave it perspective when it comes to that. But there are some things that I will compromise on. I don't particularly like sports, but I will sit down and watch sports with you. So being able to say, I'm willing to date a sports fanatic. Would I be as interested in dating someone who absolutely loves scary movies? Probably not, because there's going to be a constant battle between their strong desire and my strong and adamant um, desire not to watch scary movies. So you have to be able to keep that in mind as well. But the more you get to know yourself and the more you get to understand what you enjoy and what you don't enjoy, and start to do those things, you'll meet people who are like-minded. If you like to travel, you may meet somebody while you're on a trip. If you like to cook, maybe you'll meet somebody at a cooking class. If you like to go to the movies, maybe you'll meet somebody at the movies. It really just depends on putting yourself out there and going out and enjoying what you like to do, and then being able to meet people who are like-minded as well. One thing I have learned over the years is you are what you attract. What I mean by that is if you attract people who are broken, who are hurting, who are damaged, take a moment and look at yourself and say, am I hurting? Am I broken? Am I damaged? And then work on that. If you attract people who don't have it all together, don't know what they want to do with their lives, don't know what direction they're heading, reevaluate. Do I have it together? Do I know where I'm going in life? Do I know what I want to do with myself? And you may begin, if you're honest with yourself, you'll be able to see, listen, I thought I had it together, but when I really took a deep dive and looked at it, maybe I really don't. I was in a recent situation and I really liked this person and I thought it was going to go somewhere and I thought we were growing and it was going to take time. And he was like, listen, I'm just not ready. You're a cool person. You're great. You have a great heart, blah, 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 all those other things, but I'm just not ready. And I had to evaluate. I'm like, am I ready? I thought I was, but really and truly, there are certain things that I want to accomplish and certain things that I want to put in place prior to being in a serious committed relationship. And that's okay because now I'm focused on putting those things in place and I'm focused on accomplishing those things first. And it's no love lost. There's no hard feelings. There's no any of that because I take it at face value. If I'm attracting someone who's not ready, maybe I'm not. If I'm attracting someone who's abusive, manipulative, or anything like that, either maybe I am, or maybe there's a broken part of me that's okay with it. And that shows and radiates that they would be able to get away with certain things. Um, there's a quote that says, you won't attract someone different until you heal the part of you that needed them. And that's something to really think about. Granted, they may not be the exact quote, but just the concept behind it. I think about it. I won't be able to attract a person who is successful and accomplished and has it all together until I'm successful and accomplished and have it all together, because someone in that mindset, in that bracket, doesn't want a liability. So if you're not at the place where if you have a standard for what you want to attract and you don't meet that standard yourself, you're bringing them down. And someone who's at this level will not allow you to bring them down. You either meet them at their level or you motivate them to get better. And you both should be motivating each other to get better and better and better. And if it's not a mutual motivation, it's really not healthy, because if one person's doing the motivating and the other person is doing the receiving, that person's going to give and give and give and give, and they're not getting the same in return. And it creates an unhealthy balance. So after you get to know yourself, after you realize you are what you attract, and you start to work on what it is that you don't like about what you're attracting. One more thing about that. When you start to say things like, all men are dogs, I don't know how to say that next phrase without cursing. So I'm going to go ahead and just leave it at all men are dogs, all men cheat, all men lie. Things, the mindset behind those types of phrases, you really want to evaluate why it is that you're attracting these type of men. Because all men don't lie. All men don't cheat. All men are not dogs. But if that's all you seem to be attracting, evaluate what it is that you're putting out there that's causing them to be attracted to you and causing the good men to overlook you. Are you an asset or are you a liability? And until you have that real and honest conversation with yourself, you're just going to say, all men are dogs. Because it's easier to just say, all men are dogs, and just leave it at that, as opposed to saying, if all I'm attracting is a dog, maybe I need to clean up my approach. Maybe I need to clean up my social media presence. Maybe I need to clean up how I talk. Maybe I need to accomplish a few things. Maybe I need to focus on myself for a while. Self-accountability is going to change your whole life, first and foremost, but it changes your perspective on everything. You can't control another person's behaviors, but what you can control is what you did to contribute to that situation. Did I allow this person to get away, to do certain things? At what point did I teach you it was okay to lie to me? At what point did I teach you through my behavior that it was okay to cheat? At what point did I fail to show the value that I have for myself to understand that you're not going to cross certain lines? Now, keep in mind, I'm not saying it's always your fault, but what I'm saying is you can't control the other person. All you can control is yourself, and all you can do is move forward and figure out, how can I prevent this from happening again? Because as we all know, Jay-Z still cheated on Beyonce. I'm just saying. She's beautiful. She's poised. She is a lady. And she's a hard worker. And she got money. And he still cheated. So I'm not saying that if you get cheated on, that it's always your fault. But what I'm saying is learn the lesson and see what you can do differently to prevent that from happening with anything that you're dealing with. Learn the lesson and make a change moving forward. And that leads me to the next point. So set some standards and stick to them. Set some non-negotiables. I'm not willing to do this. I'm not willing to tolerate this. If you want to be in a romantic interest in my life, you have to have these certain things in place. And not an income level, not a particular job, not a particular skin complexion or height or anything superficial along those lines. Make sure that you have things like, are you a gentleman? How do you treat your mother? How do you talk about your mother? Do you have kids? And if so, are you involved in their life? Am I willing to date someone who has kids? Am I willing to marry someone who's been married before? Those kind of questions. Do you go to church? Do you go to church just to say you went to church? Or do you have an active relationship with God? Those are the type of characteristic questions that you need to be asking and understanding, and set your standards before you even start to date that person. Because if you're creating a list after you started dating, the list will look just like that person. If you have a list and you have no particular person in mind, when you meet somebody, you compare them to that list and have the list. Well, for me, I have a list that says specifically, these are the things that must be met. These are the things that would be nice. For me, you must have a relationship with God. It would be nice if you traveled. You must have a stable career. It would be nice if you were an entrepreneur. Things along those lines, and understanding that, and like for me, kids are not a deal breaker. But if you have kids, you must be a good father to your children. Hands down, non negotiable. I refuse otherwise. And that is the moment that you have to be able to say, listen, I don't think this is right for me. And it's okay. You don't have to be involved with everybody that is expressing interest in you. You have to be okay with saying, you know what? You're a cool person, but I just don't think you're right for me. This piece of hair will not stay. It's really disrespectful, actually. Anyways, but honestly and truly being okay with being able to say, listen, I respect you. I appreciate the interest, but I'm good. But I'm good. And just as a random tidbit, I personally believe you should be very much attracted to the person you're involved with. That's just my 2 cents. I think personality and character plays a big part. But step one is my eyes. Then we can talk about the heart. Then we can talk about your character and your mind and your heart and get to know each other. But that's just my perspective. There are plenty of people who feel like looks shouldn't matter and all this and the third. But as for me, I have to be attracted to the person physically on the outside and the inside. And I can't look past the outside. That's just my thoughts. But most don't agree with me. Some do, but most will say, oh, looks shouldn't matter, and et cetera, et cetera. But I feel like if you don't have a genuine attraction for that person, you're just best friends. If we're being honest. But that's my 2 cents. What are some ways that you've learned to figure out who's right for you? I definitely want to hear your thoughts on that. Let's discuss in the comments. Thanks. Bye.